Kamala Harris's campaign stumbled again, this time when it comes to electric vehicle mandates. During her 2020 run for president, Kamala Harris supported requiring automakers to build only electric or hydrogen vehicles by 2035. During her time as California Senator, Axios points out that she co-sponsored the Zero Emissions Act in 2019 that essentially required only EVs or hydrogen vehicles sold in the U.S. by 2040. This was Harris in 2021 after the Biden administration announced it would build 500,000 charging stations for electric vehicles across the country.
There can be no doubt the future of transportation in our nation and around the world is electric. And because that is true, our nation's ability to manufacture, charge, and repair electric vehicles will determine many things, including one, the health of our communities.
But Harris's campaign now says Harris, quote, does not support an electric vehicle mandate. The campaign has not specified Harris's stance any further than that. This is a key issue in states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, where many automakers are based and Republicans are taking advantage of it. For example, per Axios, American fuel and petrochemical manufacturers launched a $13 million swing state ad targeting Harris, her 2019 position on EVs.
As for Donald Trump, he has frequently criticized Biden and Harris' positions on EVs, but Trump has also seemingly gotten softer on EVs since getting closer to Elon Musk. For example, here Trump was in March talking about EVs before Elon Musk endorsed him. Let's watch.
On day one, I will terminate Crooked Joe's ridiculous electric vehicle mandate. They're very expensive and they can all be made in China.
And here Trump is in August after Musk formally endorsed him.
And I'm for electric cars. I have to be, because Elon endorsed me very strongly, Elon. So I have no choice. But he knows. I am for him. I'm for him for a small slice is a slice.
Just a slice.
Just a little bit.
But this is another flip-flop from Kamala Harris.
From both.
From both.
He flip-flops a lot, too.
He does, but so does she, and she doesn't get half as much flack for it. She's gone back on her border policy, so many of her energy policies. And again, we're just finding this stuff out now because she didn't actually have to run a proper campaign. She was just coronated as the candidate overnight. Well, so she didn't have to debate people on her own side about, well, are you more progressive or am I more progressive, blah, 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 the way she did in 2020 with Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden himself. Now she just issues statements and decrees saying, this is no longer my position.
But people are calling her out. She is being called out. I mean, she's been in this race for, a month now, and she's getting attacked left and right, literally left and right, for these issues that she has changed her positioning on. This is a tough one because it has been 5 years since she co-sponsored that bill. There have been a lot of frustration, I think, in the auto industry about moving to that deadline and having the infrastructure in place to do so. The American people don't seem to want electric vehicles. Hybrids are much more popular, and it seems like our auto industry also wants to invest more in hybrids, but maybe that's the transition. Maybe it's not, there's a mandate that quickly. It's a transition into more manufacturing of hybrids, and then have a better infrastructure for electric vehicles, which, let's be real, there's the charging station issue. Can these electric vehicles make it across the state of California without charging, or make it across the country? And where are those charging stations? So I don't think it's just that you have the oil and gas industry.
Or something, right? Wasn't that the latest news? It's so expensive to do. Look, I like Trump. I'm for electric vehicles for a slice. No, if people want them, that's good. Look, I am all about better, cleaner, greener technology if it's practical, if it's economical, and if it can stand on its own 2 feet. I don't want to prop up an artificial industry wholly or solely because of government subsidy, which is what it's taken in some cases, including with Elon Musk's company. Let's be real. I don't want the government, picking winners and losers in this way. I want the government, obviously there has to be a little bit of government coordination in terms of the charging stations being assembled, the rights and the permitting and all that. I want to make it easier for companies to go green and do energy and environmentally friendly stuff if they want. We can have less restrictions on, my God, what you have to do to put a solar panel on your own home is ridiculous. Let's make it easier. Let's relax regulations that get in the way of people opting for greener choices without having, we don't need to have, I don't want to do it with subsidies and all the rest.
Well, I believe in subsidies. I also believe that we have to hit our climate goals. But I'm also very aware that oil and gas is spending millions and millions of dollars to fight this. Not that oil and gas isn't going to survive without our transportation, but I mean, this. Let's be real. If you don't want the government to be involved, I don't want oil and gas to be dictating the terms of our.
Well, I don't want any subsidies for them either. Yeah.
Subsidies, I don't think they should be doing these influence campaigns. I mean, that's what they're afraid of. I believe this is a political conversation, just as Donald Trump outwardly said he changed his mind because he was endorsed by Elon Musk. I think that Kamala Harris
doesn't get more honest than that.
Does not.
Kamala Harris could say, I changed my mind because I realized my former policy was not popular.
Or she could say,
I'm changing my mind because the things I ran on in 2020 got me nowhere because people didn't want them.
Or she could say there are massive influence campaigns being paid for by oil and gas in key swing states, and we really need to inform the American people. But right now, we are fighting an uphill battle because hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent to muddy the waters.
Muddy the water. You say influence campaign, but right there, it's calling attention. It's calling attention to what her actual positions were. Right? It's not
they're
like
advertisements.
Well, yeah, but they're true. They're correctly stating that this was her policy previously, and maybe you shouldn't, you do with that as you will, but perhaps you wouldn't trust, if you're in the industry or if your livelihood has something to do with more traditional sources of energy, maybe you ought not to trust what the Kamala Harris administration would do, given her being all over the place on this issue.
Oh, come on. You know that these ad campaigns are sophisticated, it's so sophisticated how they message, and yes, that was her position, and she's changed it because of these ads, because she's scared of losing voters in key swing states.
Yeah,
let's be real. And hopefully when she's elected, she'll go back to the mandates and put more money into electric charging stations.
Well, so what you're hoping that she's lying right now when she's saying that.
I do, actually.
All right,
come on, it's politics.
I don't want to mandate. Why we don't need to mandate it if it's people will adopt it if it is market viable and cost effective enough, and that's fine. I'm not going to require it. But for the good of the planet, China's not doing any of this. We can't. But there's no participation. The top global polluters elsewhere in the world are doing nothing. We can't be the only goody two-shoes on the planet.
Okay, that's going to be great. We'll have that conversation when we're underwater fighting.
Oh, they always say we're going to be underwater. The whole continent hasn't sunk into the water yet. I'm just gonna point that out.
Okay.
Aren't the climate the worst case scenarios are no longer projected to be the likely outcomes, right?
I don't agree with that at all.
I don't think that's an opinion. I think that's true.
This year alone, me personally, I was near horrifying fires in Europe. We had flooding in Europe. We had flooding here. Like last time I came here a few weeks ago, there was the
climate is
eastern.
It is very contested as to whether climate change is making extreme weather events worse. That is a
They're happening more often. Yes, it's debated.
This is a source of debate, and
it's not a source of debate. Every single person watching this has been affected by climate disasters. There have been more of them. This used to be a once-in-a-lifetime situation where you'd have these heat waves. Arizona, right now, Arizona's on its 100th plus day of 100-degree weather. That's never happened in history since we've been recording.
There has been. I'm not denying that their climate change is real and that it is increasing the temperature, but you mentioned fires and tornadoes and earthquakes and all that stuff. It is often casually asserted that this is due to climate change, and there is significant debate over whether extreme weather is actually getting worse.
Okay, I'm not sure it's really that debatable at this point, but
It is debated.
Okay.
We'll have more Rising right after this.